I still remember that morning. The sound of rain sliding down the windows, the scent of burnt toast, and the low hum of an old jukebox playing a song that no one remembered the name of. The diner was half empty like most Mondays, just the way I liked it. That's when he walked in, soaked, grease still staining his shirt, hands trembling slightly like the world had been shaking him for too long. He looked like the kind of man who fixed everything except himself. Lena, our waitress, the same one who never missed a shift even when her heart looked tired, noticed him first. "You look like you've been through a war," she said, sliding a napkin his way with a crooked smile. He gave a short laugh, rough around the edges. "Something like that." She poured him coffee before he asked. Black, hot, no sugar. The steam rose between them like a fragile peace offering. He cupped it with both hands, trying to hide the tremor. "But I saw it. We all did. Long morning?" Lena asked gently. He nodded, eyes distant. "Transmission failure. Customer's truck gave out halfway down Highway 9, nearly caused an accident. You a mechanic?" He looked up then, eyes dark with exhaustion. "Yeah, used to be better at it, though." Lena tilted her head. "You look like someone who knows his way around broken things." He smirked faintly. "Yeah, well, some things don't stay fixed." There was a pause, one of those heavy human silences that say more than words ever could. That's when Lena leaned in, wiping the counter. "You know how to handle it?" she asked. Her tone wasn't flirty. It was soft, almost kind. Like she wasn't talking about engines anymore. He hesitated. His fingers brushed the cup, knuckles tight. "Some days," he said. "Others, not so much." The rain picked up again, harder this time, thunder rolling far off, like a warning from somewhere deep in the sky. He tried to smile, but his jaw tensed. That's when I realized his trembling wasn't from cold. It was fear, regret, something heavier. Lena must have seen it too. She didn't pry. She just refilled his cup. "If you ever need to talk," she said quietly. "Coffee's free for confessions." He looked up at her then, really looked. "That your policy?" She shrugged. "It's how I stay human." He chuckled, the sound dry. "You'd make a terrible mechanic. Why's that?" "Because you try to fix everyone." She smiled sadly. "Someone has to try. If you've ever met someone like that, someone who tries to fix what the world forgets, subscribe to Tale Story House. We tell stories that remind you why kindness still matters." Stayed longer than most customers do. Didn't say much. Just stared out the window while the rain danced on the pavement. After a while, he whispered, "I shouldn't even be here." Lena frowned. "Why's that?" He hesitated. "I was supposed to be at the hospital." Her cloth froze mid-wipe. "Is someone hurt?" He swallowed hard. "My brother? Car accident last night. I worked on his car last week. I told him it was fine. Told him I handled it." His voice cracked. "But I didn't." Lena's eyes softened. "Hey," she said softly. "You can't blame yourself for everything that breaks." He shook his head, tears glinting. "You don't understand. I was drunk that night. I missed a leak in the line. He's in a coma now." The air thickened. Even the jukebox went silent between songs. Lena didn't move for a moment. Then she slowly reached across the counter, resting her hand on his, the one still trembling. Her voice was barely a whisper. "You came here for a reason. Maybe not to run. Maybe to breathe." He let out a shaky breath, the kind that sounds like surrender. For a while, neither of them spoke. Just rain, just guilt and grace mingling quietly. Then the door opened, a gust of wind and the smell of wet asphalt sweeping in with a man in a gray coat. He scanned the diner, eyes sharp, landing on the mechanic. "Ethan Ward?" he called. The mechanic stiffened. "Yeah?" "I'm Officer Dale. The hospital's been trying to reach you." "Your brother." Ethan stood abruptly, knocking over his coffee. "What about him?" The officer hesitated. "He's awake." Ethan froze, disbelief flickering in his eyes. "He's asking for you," the officer said softly. "You should come now." For a moment, Ethan didn't move. His lips parted like he wanted to speak but couldn't. Lena stepped closer. "Go," she said. "We'll keep your seat warm." He looked at her, eyes glassy, and whispered, "Thank you." Then he was gone, the bell above the door chiming like a fragile heartbeat. I watched Lena stare after him for a long time, her reflection shimmering in the rain-streaked glass. She didn't move, didn't smile, just whispered under her breath, "You do know how to handle it. Ethan, you just forgot how to believe it." And for the first time that morning, the diner didn't feel so small anymore. The rain had stopped by the time Ethan left. The air outside looked freshly washed, like the world was trying to start over. Lena stood by the counter long after he was gone, staring at the empty coffee cup he'd left behind, still half full, still warm. Something about the way he said thank you stuck with her. Maybe it was the way his voice cracked, or maybe it was the way he looked at her, like he was scared to hope again. For the next hour, she barely spoke. She just moved through her shifts quietly, refilling cups, wiping counters, pretending not to feel that tug in her chest. Around noon, the doorbell chimed again. She looked up and froze. It was Ethan. His clothes were still damp, his eyes red, but there was something different about him. Something calmer. "You came back," Lena said softly. "Yeah," he said, voice hoarse. Didn't know where else to go. She poured him another cup of coffee, set it down gently. "How's your brother?" He smiled faintly, tired but real. "Alive. That's more than I deserve." "Don't say that," she said. "It's true," he murmured. When he woke up, first thing he asked was if I was okay. "Can you believe that?" "The guy nearly dies because of me, and he's worried about me." Lena sighed, leaning against the counter. "That's what love looks like. Messy, forgiving." He stared into his coffee. I told him the truth about the leak, about me drinking. He didn't even get mad. He just said, "Then fix what you can now." Lena smiled softly. "Sounds like he knows how to handle big things too." He chuckled weakly. "Guess it runs in the family." A long pause followed, comfortable this time. The kind of silence that heals instead of hurts. Lena reached for her apron pocket and pulled out a small metal object, a rusted wrench keychain. "Here," she said, placing it beside his cup. "What's this?" "Something that broke off one of our bar stools last month." I was going to toss it, but maybe it's meant to remind you that not everything broken is useless. Ethan turned it over in his hand. It wasn't pretty, but it was solid, real. "You keep handing out metaphors like coffee, don't you?" She grinned. "Occupational hazard." He looked at her for a long time, then nodded. "Thank you. For earlier, for not treating me like a screw-up." "Everyone's a screw-up," she said. "But the brave ones come back to fix what they broke." He let out a shaky laugh. "You always talk like that." "Only when someone's listening," she said, winking. The jukebox started humming again, an old tune, slow and haunting. Ethan sat there for a while, staring at the rain-streaked street outside. For the first time, his hands weren't trembling. Then his phone buzzed. A message. He read it and smiled faintly. "Good news?" Lena asked. He nodded. "My brother's awake enough to make jokes again." Said, "You still owe me a beer, mechanic." She laughed. "Sounds like he's recovering fast." Ethan nodded, then stood. "I should head back." "But," he hesitated, "would it be weird if I came back here sometimes? Just for the coffee. And maybe to remember that not everything's my fault." Lena looked at him, eyes kind. "You can come back as often as you like. We all need somewhere to breathe." He smiled, small but genuine. "You really know how to handle people, don't you?" She laughed softly. "I just pour coffee and listen." He looked down at the wrench keychain one last time, then slipped it into his pocket. Then maybe that's all some of us need, someone to listen. When he left, the bell chimed again, that same delicate sound that marked endings and beginnings. I watched Lena exhale slowly, her reflection caught in the window. She looked stronger somehow, softer too, like seeing someone else heal had healed something in her. That evening the sky turned amber. The diner lights glowed warmer than usual. She moved from table to table, humming quietly, her heart a little lighter. And as I sat there in my usual booth, I couldn't help but think, sometimes the bravest thing isn't fixing what's broken. It's forgiving yourself for breaking it. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Tale Story House, where every story reminds us that even trembling hands can rebuild what's been lost. Lena looked out at the road one last time before locking up. The clouds were clearing and the world smelled new again. She whispered to herself, almost smiling, "You know how to handle it now, Ethan. You just needed someone to remind you." The neon light buzzed softly above her as she turned off the jukebox and closed the door. And somewhere, out there in the quiet night, an engine started, steady this time, sure, alive again.